Hello everyone, I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar. My name is Abby and I will be your host for this session. I also have a Michael on hand to answer some of your questions along the way today. So today we're going to be looking at the Bill of Materials option within the Products and Services record in Sage 50 accounts. Now this session was originally for May, but due to technical difficulties it was unable to go ahead, so we want to apologise for that if you did plan on going to that session then, but we're going to cover it today. We're going to get through that. Okay, so before we begin, for those who are regular to our webinars, we'll be aware of how our sessions are ran. For those who are new to joining us, just a brief explanation of how it works. You will see is that you will be placed on mute when you join. That is so you cannot speak directly to us during the webinar and will not be able to unmute yourself, but it will not impact your ability to hear us today. If you do have any questions, however, you can use the questions panel on the right-hand side of your screen by clicking the option that looks like a little speech bubble with the question mark in the middle. This will open up the panel where you can send your questions across, where one of my colleagues, such as Michael, will be able to answer for you. We do also have a handout for today. You can do this by clicking on the button that looks like a little document with a folded corner. We would recommend downloading this as it does have some clickable buttons to some links on our Help Centre. So this is our agenda for today. So I'm going to start by introducing the Bill of Materials and what it is. We'll then move on to how to add a Bill of Materials into the software, using the Check Bill of Materials option, and how to use the stock transfer option and how it actually works within the program as well. We'll also show you some useful reports you can use, and then I will come back at the end and summarise the session and show you some extra support resources. Now, just before we do, I just want to show you a poll that I want to get some answers for. So we just want to know, do you currently use a Bill of Materials, or is today's session just giving you an idea of how it works, what it is, and in potential for you to use it in the future? So we usually wait till we get around 70%, so we'll just wait for those votes to come in. It shouldn't take us too long. Okay, lovely, we've got enough votes in there, so I'm just going to close that down now, and I'll share the results with you as well. So, actually 67% of you don't actually use Bill of Materials at the moment, but 33% of you already do. That's a really good show of you know what we're going to be showing you today. Will give you a better idea of how the process actually works within the software. I'll just hide that poll for you. And we'll move on to the introduction. So what is Bill of Materials? Also known as BOM, which is abbreviated. So the BOM is a list of all the other products or subcomponents that make up the final product or product assembly. If a product consists of a number of other products, then it has a Bill of Materials. This option is only available if you use Sage 50 Accounts Professional. I have also included a link to the Help Centre article. So that green button there is clickable if you have the handout downloaded, and that explains in more detail. I just want to give you some examples that might include a Bill of Materials. So if you look at my screenshot on the screen there, so you can see I've got there a PC combo pack, where it's made up of other products, similar to like a hamper. So it could also be a product that you build for your customers. So I'm going to show you another example. So let's just say you build a bike. So this is a Bill of Materials here. So at the top level, you've got your bike, which is the finished product. To make up that bike, you're going to need your frame, your pedals, your wheels, and a seat, which are all subcomponents that make up that bike Bill of Materials. Within those 4 subcomponents, one of those could also have its own Bill of Materials, such as the wheel. The wheel's Bill of Materials is then made up of the inner tube, the spokes, and the tyre. So you can make it as simple or as complex as you need it to be. I could have added more to this, so as part of the frame, I could have added another BOM listing the chain, screws and the bolts. I could have even added another BOM to the inner tube, spokes or tyres. So in terms of how to add a BOM, you would go into products and services, into the product record, and then into bill of materials. Things to consider. So each component must have its own product record to be part of the bill of materials, but they do not have to be stock items. You can have up to 50 components on one level, and by level, I mean per product, but multiple levels are available, so there's no limit on how many levels that you can have. So for example, you might have flat pack furniture. So instead of having a level listing screws, bolts and handles and glue, you could then have a fixing kit, which include all of those subcomponents. So that it gives you more opportunity to have more lines on one level than rather than listing all of those and taking up part of that 50 components. You would need to set a record up for labour or assembly or any other production associated costs if this is required. You would just use a non-stock item, or you can also use a service record as well if you wanted to. But what I'll do now is I'll pop across to my software and we'll have a look to see what this looks like. Okay, so what we're going to do first is we're going to go into the products and services, which is down the left hand side. And as you can see, I've got all my relevant products set up. So I've got a product record for the finished product, which is my bike. I then have all the subcomponents as their own individual product records as well, including labour. So let's just pop into bike. So I'm just going to go into the bike record. And I'm going to go into bill of materials down the left-hand side. So you can see I've listed the frame, the pedals, the seat, and the wheel. You've got assembly and link level. I'm going to come into that later in the session. You've got the description of the product and the quantity that is needed to make up this final product. So I need one bike frame, one set of pedals, one seat, and 2 wheels. I can also come into here and add labour. And you can see there, mine's set up as a service. It automatically populates as one quantity. I do have my labour set up as just £1 anyways. So if I know I'm going to charge £30, £40, £50, I can just put the quantity as 40, for example, and then save it. And that's saved the product record for me. If I wanted to remove a line, so let's just say I don't want to include labour in there, you can see it has reorganised itself into alphabetical order because I'm using letters for my product name, or product code rather. If I wanted to delete it, I can either press F8 on my keyboard, or I can just delete that out of there. If I save it, close it down and reopen, you can see labour has now disappeared from that list. I need to build the wheel bill of materials. So if we go into wheel, I go into bill of materials. You can see I don't currently have anything set up there at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in my inner tube. I'm going to add in my spokes. And I'm going to add in my tyres. Again, I just need one of each for these. I'm just going to leave the quantity as 1. I'm going to save that. And that has created a bill of materials for the wheel. So if we just go back into wheel, you can see they're in that list there. Now, in terms of the assembly and link level, as I mentioned earlier, so assembly shows how many levels of subcomponents that are below the final product. So we go back into bike. and go back into bill of materials, you can see here assembly level down the bottom here, and it's got a level of 2. That is because there is a level that contains the frame, the seat, the pedal, and the wheels. But then there is another level below that containing the subcomponents that make up the wheel, such as the spokes, the inner tube, and the tyre. Now the link level, because we have a 0 on this one, I'm going to close this one down. I'm just going to open up the spokes. Now the spokes has a link level of 2. And that's because spokes are a subcomponent of wheels and they're a subcomponent of a repair kit. So that's what gives it the link of 2, because it's part of 2 separate bill of materials. It ignores the fact that the wheel is part of the bike, and it only looks at what is directly listed under, which is the wheel and the repair kit. So next we've got the how to check the bill of materials option. So the check the bill of materials option is here. You need to check that you've got enough stock to make the components up for the main product. So you use this option. You can create a purchase order also from within the check a bill of materials option. So let's just do an example here. So we're going to go and we're going to choose the bike from the product code. So we want to make a bike up. And let's just say I want to make one bike. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm wanting to check that I've got enough stock to make up that one bike. So I'll click check. It's telling me quantity is already in stock. And that's because I've actually already got one bike in stock. So we look here, I've got one bike, quantity in stock, 1. So it's telling me I've already got one made. But let's just say I wanted to make 3 in total. So let's just change that from 1 to 3 and check again. So quantity not in stock. So I need 2 to make up 3 bikes. The current quantity available for makeup is 1. So that means that I have a shortfall. So you can see here for my frame, I'll close that down. For my frame, I've only got 1 in stock, so I need another 2 items to be able to make the quantity in stock. So what you can do is it tells you what you need to order. So I require 2, but I've already got 1, so I only need 1 more to be able to make 3 bikes in total. So if I create the order, it's going to create a purchase order for us. We're going to select the supplier, and it automatically populates the amount that I actually need to order to create 3 bikes in total. So I only need 1 more frame to be able to create 2 bikes. So if I click save, it's created that purchase order for me. So if I just close the check bill of materials, I go into purchase orders, I can see it's currently on order. So I'm going to receive the deliveries. Yes, I want to update the stock. I'm not going to print my goods delivery note at the moment, so I'm just going to click print later. And it's completed that purchase order for me. So if we now go into products and services, I've now got 2 in stock. So now if I do check bill of materials again, and I choose my bike, and I want to make 3, it is going to give us a different message this time. So quantity not in stock, so we still need to make another 2 bikes to make up 3 in total. But I do have the quantity of stock available through stock transfer. Now what that means is I've got the components to make up other areas to then make up those other 2 bikes. So what I'm going to do now is I just want to pack back to my slides a little bit, just so I can go through a bit more of the stock transfer option. pop back to my slides there. Okay, so the stock transfer option moves the stock from the individual records to the final product. You can find this option by going to products and then products and services, and then the stock transfer option along the top. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to show you examples of what activity happens during the stock transfer option. So let's just say here, you've got your bike, which is your final product. But let's just say you've got 6 wheels in stock, because not only do you use it to build a bike, but you might also sell wheels as an individual component. So what happens is when you do a stock transfer, when you've got wheels in stock, on the activity, you see a movement out of wheels and a movement in to bike. So that's because we've already made up the wheels as an individual component. But let's just say you don't sell the wheels separately and you don't have any wheels in stock. What that message meant is that you haven't got any wheels in stock, but because you've got the inner tube, the spokes and the tyres, during the stock transfer, it doesn't go to wheels first, then into bike. It just skips the wheel and it goes straight to the top level component. So you will only see a movement out of your subcomponents of your inner tube, your spokes and your tyres, and you'll see a movement in on your bike, which is top level. What I'll do now is I'll demonstrate this exact diagram here so we can see what that looks like. So let's just go back to the software. So let's make those 3 bikes by using the stock transfer option. So we're moving stock out from the individual subcomponents, records, and into the bike as the final product. So we're going to do it for bike. So we're going to use the stock transfer option. We've got bike there. We need to make another 2 because we know we want the quantity to be 3. So we're going to put 2 in there. And it's telling me I've already got 1 in stock for the bike, fully complete. I've got nothing on order and I've got nothing allocated currently. So I'm going to do is I'm just going to save that. Now, because I've had the stock there to transfer, it has created those 3 bikes for me. So if we click close, you can see now in total, I've got 3 bikes. So I've made another 2 because I already had 1 in stock. So if we look at the activity on the bike, so if we click on the bike and then we go to activity, you can see I've got a movement in. And that's because we've used the stock transfer option. We've moved quantity of 2 in to bike. If we have a look at the activity for wheel, you can see I don't have activity. And that's because I didn't have any stock for wheel individually. What it's done is it's gone from one of the subcomponents, let's just use tyres for example. It's moved it out of tyres and moved it straight into bike. So it's skipped the wheel part because it would only show in wheels if you were creating the wheel as a stock transfer. So that is if you did want to record movement, you can create the wheel first and then you create the bike using the stock transfer option. But what the software does is it knows that it's all the subcomponents and it moves it straight into bike at top level. What I want to do now is I just want to pop back to my slides as I just want to cover a frequently asked question. So a frequently asked question that we do get with bill of materials is how is the last cost price calculated? So the program uses FIFO, so that's first in, first out, when you hold in stock, which means it assumes that the first stock that you purchase is also going to be the first stock that you sell. It becomes more complex if the cost price varies. To work out if your final product FIFO will be used, in this order for the relevant cost price. So all in all, the cost price of the final product is calculated by the total cost of the subcomponents that are being transferred, then divided by the quantity of the main item that you are transferring into stock. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to talk about some of the reports that we have in the software that you have access to that will actually help you identify this information. So to find the reports, you would go into Products and Services, Reports, and then Product Explosion and BOM. So you will have two reports, as you can see per my example. You'll have the Product Explosion and the quantities available for makeup. But the two that I'm going to show you are the Product Explosion and the Reverse Product Explosion report. Now, the Reverse Product Explosion report is not default within the program, but it is available on the additional reports backup, which I have provided a link to the Help Center article, which tells you in detail how to get that into your program. If you're going to do that, make sure that you do take a backup beforehand. But let's have a look at these two reports in the software. Okay, so I want to make sure that no products are highlighted because I want to show everything. I'm then going to go into reports in the top right. Sorry, it's opened up on a different screen there. I'm going to go to Product Explosion and BOM. I'm going to look at this one first, so the Product Explosion. So we're going to click Preview. You've got the option to filter by stock category and stock code. I'm going to just leave it as it is. And I'm going to click OK. Just going to zoom in for you. Okay, so you've got your BICO 1, which is one bill of materials. You've got the repair kit, which is another bill of materials. And you've got wheel, which is also another bill of materials. If we look at BICO 1, it lists the frame, the pedals, the seat, and the wheel. You can see they're aligned to the left. That means because they're directly listed under BICO 1. But then you've got indent, and you've got the wheels bill of materials, and they're indented in. So you've got the inner tube, spokes, and the tyres, and that's because they're part of another bill of materials. This report's useful because you've also got the last cost price. So you can come in here, find out what the last cost price was for each of your subcomponents to help you work out what the cost price is of your final product. You can export this as well if you wanted to save a copy. You would just click on the export option along the top and then decide where you're going to save it and save it as a PDF. The next report I want to show you is the Reverse Product Explosion. So I'll just preview this one. Again, stock category, I'm going to leave mine as it is. And I'm going to zoom in again. Okay, so this is the Reverse Product Explosion. So instead of reporting from the top level downwards, this report lists the items and tells you which bill of materials they are listed under. So for the stock code, we've got the frame. That one's directly listed under BICO 1. You've got the stock code for inner tube. And that one comes under repair kit, wheel, and BICO 1. So a frequently asked question that we get is that people are unable to delete a product record. And sometimes it's because it's due to being part of a bill of materials. This report helps you identify what it's actually linked to. That's why it's really useful. So then you can come in here, you can find out what it's directly linked to, remove it if it needs removing, and then it allows you to delete that product record. Again, if you do have the handout downloaded, You can click the link for the additional reports article, or you can just type in the Help Centre additional reports library. Just a reminder, just to keep your questions coming as well. We haven't had any so far, which means I might be doing my job properly. But yeah, Michael's here to answer your questions, so do get those across. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pop back to my software, and we're going to look at the summarising the session. Okay, so we now know that a BOM is a list of other products or subcomponents that make up the final product. It is only available on Sage 50 Accounts Professional. Each component must have its own record, so whether that be stock, non-stock or service. You can have up to 50 items per one bill of materials. You can create a purchase order from within the Check Bill of Materials window. And lastly, you've got access to some reports that will show all components within a bill of materials as well. I have also included some Help Centre links down the right-hand side if you have the sides downloaded. The one at the bottom in particular, keeping records of products and services, talks about FIFO in more detail. I can see Vicky's just asking there, don't have the reverse product explosion report, where can I find it? So as I mentioned, it's in the additional reports library. So if you've got the handout downloaded, or if you go to the Help Centre, you can access that. I'll quickly show you how to get that. Bear with me a moment. We'll just open up the Help Centre. There we go. Let's just bring this across. So at the Help Centre, you go to Additional Reports Library. You've got the Advanced Report Library. And this is the one that you need. And it tells you in here, you've got product reports. Bear with me, let me just find it. It's not this one, bear with me a moment, I'll quickly have a look for you. Tell you what I'll do is if we just pop back to this one, and I'll just click on this link. Here it is here. So yeah, so this is the reports backup that you need, and it tells you what's included in here. So you can have a look at all the different reports you'll also get access to as well, which you might find beneficial. So what I'll do now is just while we're waiting for any extra questions to come through, I'm just going to go through some extra support resources. So some of you on today's session may be new to the product and just starting up, or some of you may have been with us for years. But I just wanted to share some extra support with you, options and tools you did not know were available to you that may save your business time and increase your productivity. So you've got useful tips. So this includes access to our business legislation hubs, so you can keep up to date with all the latest advice. There's also access to HMRC resources, Making Tax Digital, and more. We've also got time-saving tools. So in here, you can find what features and functions our software is capable of. Just to make you aware, not all the topics on this article are available on all variants. So you might only have access if you are on standard or professional. But when you delve more into them, it will inform you which variant of the software it requires. You've also got regular tasks, includes areas such as bank, VAT, run management reports, and even how to record employee expenses. And then lastly, we've got the Help Centre, which is where you can find useful articles, which is where I just went earlier, with thorough step-by-step guides on how to follow processes in the software and more. You'll also find that we do cover a lot of these topics on our sessions. So if you find something that piques your interest, but want more information, then you can visit our webinar page on the Help Centre and see if it's an upcoming topic, or maybe one that's all we've already covered on our recordings page. If you don't see a topic, then you can pop in a suggestion at the bottom of our registration page. But like I say, I'll pop over to the upcoming webinars. So this is what we do have upcoming. So this afternoon, we've got sales orders with Jackie. So that's where you can understand how to process the sales orders option. We've also got the business dashboard on Thursday at 2 p.m. and that'll be with Michael. So that's a great feature that gives you the key business data you need at a glance. And we've also got upcoming over the next couple of weeks, we've got management reports, purchase orders. We've got another quick learn on batch reporting. If you haven't joined one of those before, quick learn is a shorter session. It'll book 30 minutes out of your calendar, but it's usually around 20 to 25 minutes. We're also going to be doing reconciling aged reports and customer corrections. If you did want to suggest any topics or anything like that, if I just click on this webinar registration, so in here, we've got view previous recordings. And then at the very bottom of this page, if we go through all the topics that we've got covered, we've also got the option to suggest a new topic. But I would suggest, before suggesting a new topic, make sure that you have checked the view previous recordings first to see if it's already something that we have covered. Okay, so that does bring us to the end of today's session. I can see there are some questions coming through there, so do stick around for the next couple of minutes or so if you are waiting for an answer or you do have any further questions to ask. So we have got some time there to answer some. But if you have got what you needed today and you want to leave the session, you will receive an email in around an hour or so with links to both our webinar schedule and today's recorded session for you to refer back to if you need to watch it again, pause it, rewind it, and things like that. You are also going to get an exit survey as you leave the session, so it would be really appreciated if you could fill that out for us, as any feedback is massively appreciated. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put myself on mute just so I can see what other questions there are and if we have any outstanding ones coming through, so just get them through if you can. Okay, so majority of the questions seem to have been answered. You've managed to keep. Oh, we've just got another couple coming through there. Yes, Chris, I can see. So the webinar for the 19th of June, you will receive that in your follow-up email if it's for the purchase orders. That will be in your email that will be provided. Okay, so the other questions do seem to have dried up there, so I will end the session at that point. But I want to say thank you to Michael, who's been on hand today to answer your questions. And I want to say thank you to all of you for your participation. Just a reminder, we have got plenty of sessions over the next couple of weeks, so don't be shy and get registered. So I want to say another thank you and take care.